What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the grand finals of the Ris3n D1-M2 Invitational. We got some nice best of 7 TVZ action, so without further ado, let me introduce our players in the bottom left. We've got the Master of Terran, it's Ris3n's EterNal, and his opponent, slightly the underdog, but dangerous nonetheless. It is Megabear Cub. And already we're starting this series off with a bang, as it looks like it's going to be a proxy, and it looks like it's going to be a 3 racks? Yeah, 3 SCVs coming out, so I'm guessing this is going to be a 3 racks coming out here, going up against what appears to be a hatch first. So EterNal starting this series off with a little bit of the cheeky play, which I actually really like. If you can throw your opponent off in the first game, you can really have them questioning, oh, do I want to open up economically in the following games, even if this doesn't work, which, I mean, we've yet to see. It's a nice mind game to start it out on. But Megabear, again, just because he's going hatch first does not mean that this is unholdable. Now, obviously, the sooner that he identifies this, the better it is for him, but we're going to have to see. This is not the Reaper variant, of course, as there's no gases taken. It's going to be all Marines and probably some bunkers here. And yep, here comes the first SCV that's going to start building a bunker. And most notably, Megabear did not send the Overlord over the natural hatch. I think that most Zergs don't do that, especially in ZVT, just because you really want to get it over there to scout. But in rare situations like these, you know, that's something that could have been useful. This hatch is going to finish up in just a second here, and he's going to see what's coming his way. And I'm not sure he's going to be super happy about it. Looks like 4 lings and 2 queens and a spine are coming up, which is, I think, the correct response. Immediately getting Zergling speed. I like that as well, and we're going to have to see how he wants to break out of it. You can kind of try and bust this with lings, or you can kind of try and bust it with Ravager, or sorry, lings and banes, not just lings. Lings, it's going to take a lot of lings to bust this, but EterNal doing the smart play. He's going to be walling off back at home, and it's going to be up to Megabear for his reaction here. I think it's going to be lings and maybe banelings that he wants to try and bust this with, as if he was going Ravagers, he would be taking that second gas. Instead, he's getting the spine, and he's just accruing a huge ling count here, even dropping a tumor on the low ground. I really like that. If this hatch goes down, he wants to still be able to have the creep spread there, but he's actually going to try and go in while there's only 4 SCVs in this first bunker. He might be able to block them off from getting to the remaining bunkers. The spine crawler is burrowing down. That's going to be big. More Marines are joining in here. The spine is going to get burrowed. And I'm not sure that there's quite enough here for Megabear, as, oh, he's even switching back and forth between the bunkers. The SCVs are doing a great job repairing. They are going to get picked off here eventually, but at the end of the day, it looks like almost everything is cleaned up here for Megabear, and there are still 2 bunkers full of Marines and the SCV. Back at home, EterNal is getting the CC of his own, and this contain is going to continue, and this hatch, 100%. Oh, I say that will go down, but actually, Megabear's trying to run in here with some lings. I don't know if there's quite enough here. He realizes that and backs off, but that's a lot of lings to lose, and that can't bode well for him here. The hatch goes down, and he's getting a baneling nest behind this, correctly identifying that his best chance, I think, is to kind of bust out of here, try and get across the map, blow up the depot wall, and end the game himself. Here comes the retreat from EterNal, recognizing that he's got the damage he wanted to get done. That damage has been done, and he's going to send these barracks back at home. But the thing is obviously this aggressive play did a lot of damage, and it was very strong, but there is a window here where the Terran has no unit production, which means if this contain gets broken, he could be in a little bit of a tricky situation here if Megabear can really explode across the map with Ling Bane, though. Kugel in the chat, is this a best of 7? Yes, it is a best of 7. Stockholders ain't happy. Well, you know, the stockholders are going to be happy when they see this awesome TVZ series. Anyway, looks like an Overlord will go down across the map. That's a little bit unfortunate, as it does supply block him decently heavily. Even when this Overlord finishes, he's only going to be able to make 4 more sets of lings. Actually, he's losing some. The banelings come in. This contain is shattered. But the question is does Megabear now have enough time to get across the map? Because that's something he needs to do right now. EterNal scrambling to get up a wall, which he's identified that is pretty necessary, as if he's able to hold this wall at his natural, he's in a just incredible spot, right? His natural is completed. He's got an orbital there. The hatch is still building here for Megabear. And taking a look at the worker count, it's 10 to the Terran's advantage. So I think Megabear needs to try and get something aggressive done. And he needs to do it soon, although we are seeing more drones on the production tab. This bunker does get fully loaded up, and there the wall is raised, and Dieselings have no hope of breaking this. And from here, EterNal, I think, is in a pretty dream position. He got the hatch, obviously, which is very important for when you do like a proxy 3x like that. He was able to hold his contain long enough for him to establish his own natural, and now he can go into a regular game where he has a substantial macro advantage. Stim, the factory with a tech lab, and a starport coming up, and just all the pieces that he wants for either tank mine or tank bio. Or sorry, bio tank or bio mine. I can't speak right now, apparently. Based mid-game. But anyway, he's going to go into that with a tremendous macro advantage. Even a third CC about to finish for him as well. And I think this was a pretty cool way to start off the series here for EterNal. I know he's traditionally a pretty macro-based player, but often you can use that kind of information to your advantage. If people think you're a macro-based player and you throw in some cheese, it's more likely to be effective. And I think he was quite effective with this build here in game number 1. Double engineering bay, just... EterNal is in Terran macro heaven right now. He knows that, for the most part, there's not going to be a lot out here that's going to be able to pressure him, and so he can just get everything he wants. Now, on the other side of the map, Megabear is trying to do what he can to recover. He took a good time to third base, considering the circumstances, and he's droned up quite well, but it's just so tough to keep up when you lose that hatchery, because again, he's getting his third base up, which is great, but so is EterNal, and you never really want to be establishing bases on equal terms with a Terran like this. I think it's pretty valiant of Megabear to play this out, but I mean, this is just a really rough situation to try and play from as a Zerg player. Lair finishing up along with the 2 Evos. We'll have to see if he opts for maybe Hydras or Mutas. I would say maybe Mutas, just because you need something drastic to try and get you back in this game. And Hydras are good, but when you're already behind, they're considerably less good. 16 Marine drop, not the traditional, but 16 Marines in a drop coming out here. They're going to start clearing some creep, just kind of pressuring the Zerg player, and probably not losing very much. Actually, 8 or 7 Marines cleaned up for relatively minimal losses, but when you're ahead like this, you have the units to trade, and it looks like that's what EterNal is doing. Kind of a little bit strange on those drops there. Or maybe he was trying to get one of those last tumors, I think. Regardless, behind this, it is going to be a tank composition, and this tank count is growing and growing, and once he hits 4 or 5 tanks, I feel like he's just going to push out across the map with just a Terran Doom army. More barracks coming up. These drops are being deflected quite well by Megabear. He's not going to get harassed out of this match. But I mean, this harass is pretty much a sideline diversion while he builds up an army that he can really go for the throat with. I mean, even the upgrades are going to be in his advantage, as he's about to have 1-1 finish. The +1 melee is is a little bit slower, but about to finish for Megabear, but +1 carapace just starting. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say, really. I think EterNal is playing this extremely to an extreme of safety, with the amount of an advantage that he got in the early game, but he is going to go across the map now. Interestingly enough, I don't think he has... No, he does not have combat shields. I don't think that'll end up playing much of a factor in this game. Actually, over here, this drop is cleaned up, but this drop is a distraction for this gigantic push that is sieging up on the creep. And Megabear's going to look to set up a flank here, as he is definitely going to need to if he wants to get a hold. But these tanks are pretty well spread, and here comes the collapse from Megabear. Lings and Banes coming in from both sides. But good splits, tanks, focus firing down the banelings, and just way too much survives that crash in. And EterNal is going to absolutely kill this third base and can probably push in to end the game. Oh, that tank has 1 HP. It's got 8 kills and 1 HP. That's a hero tank. Scan comes in, gonna clear a little bit more creep. Looks like Mega is gonna maybe try and set up another flank here, but honestly, even if he can wipe this army, it's just even a even a Ghost Academy coming up. Like I said, EterNal is playing this to the maximal extent of safety here, which you can't fault him for. This is the grand finals. Great splits coming out here, really mitigating those banelings, and it looks like while this wave might yeah, it's gonna get cleaned. This wave gets cleaned, and he might even be able to dive on these tanks now too. Oh, maybe not even. There's still 2 Marines left that get dropped down and save these tanks, and here comes the reinforcements. 2-2 on the way. He's up almost 100 supply, and yeah. He's got the 1 HP tank out front. That tank's got some stones. He's like, I don't even care that I got 1 HP. I'm going to be the front line. Gonna be the back line now. Probably for the best. Here comes the siege up right outside Megabear's natural, and I think that this has to be the last push. Again, taking a look at the army supply, it's 31 to 98. Upgrade advantage is even for now, but shortly going to be in EterNal's favor anyway. Here come the banelings. Another good split by EterNal. GG is called. And our Terran player will take map number 1. So an interesting start to that series there from EterNal. Again, I would not maybe have expected him to pull out that 3 racks right away, but clearly has put some thought into how he wants to play out this series, and oftentimes if you plan your builds well, it can give you a pretty decent advantage when you have to play a long series against somebody. But Megabear, he's got some good builds of his own, he's got some quality play of his own, so I'm not going to count him out in this series just yet. But here we go into map number 2, this time on Automaton. I love the new banner things they added in. I like the DT one where he's holding the Ultraless skull and just kind of staring into its eyes. It's a little bit emo, but it's really cool. But regardless of banners, spawning in the top right hand of Automaton, it is Ris3n's EterNal. And the glorious leader of Ris3n himself, the Zerg player in the bottom left, it is Megabear Cub. And I don't know. I highly doubt we're going to see an aggressive opening like that again from EterNal, but like I was kind of saying, whenever you do that in like the first map, your opponents, even if they're pretty sure you're not going to, even if it just forces them to scout a little bit more, there's always that feeling in the back of your mind like, I don't want to lose to the same build twice. Of course, we see here it's not going to be that, but that's kind of the strength of opting for those aggressive plays early in a series. And I think this is going to be a 1 Reaper, or just the Reaper fast expand, or so it looks from EterNal. Megabear, just doing the standard 17 hatch. Looks like a macro opening from him going up to 18. He's probably going to get his gas and his pool shortly here. It's going to be gas into pool, which is fine. Get yourself a little bit of a faster Zergling speed than pool into gas, and Zergling speed, as we all know, is a very useful upgrade. Yep, this SCV is rallied to the natural. This is going to be a 1 Reaper, or not 1 Reaper. Yeah, I mean it is 1 Reaper. A Reaper fast expand. And I'm not sure how I feel about this map for ZVT. On one hand, there are some good spots to kind of get some surround engages. You know, if they're attacking into your third, you can crash in from multiple sides. Even in the middle of the map, it's decently wide open, minus this little divot. But at the same time, if we take a look at the main, there's these humongous areas where drops can land, and most good Zerg players know you decently into the game, you need to try and put creep up in your main base to watch out for drops. That's especially important on a map like Automaton, where there's just so many corners where, like, 16 Marines can fully load out, where you won't necessarily see them unless you have creeped up your main. Anyway, this Reaper coming across the map, it looks like it is going to be a reactor factory coming up behind this. Ooh, Megabear's trying to get down and take a third base, but this smart gets the extractor down on the drone, so this Reaper will not be able to deny it, but even still, this is really annoying. You want to get your third base up, and this Reaper, if microed correctly, can delay that before Zergling speed is done, and EterNal is showcasing some very good micro here. He's going to have to cancel this soon. He's probably going to remake it. Oh, will he get there in time? No, he picks off the drone, delaying that hatchery. And this is just supremely annoying as a Zerg, because you really want to get that third base up as soon as possible. He's still within a decent range to get it up. Here comes a Queen to try and force this Reaper away, but again, he might get it again. Oh, a great last-second extractor trick will save the drone. This Reaper has 4 HP, so it's going to have to hightail it out of here soon. Anyway, Zergling speed's about to be done, and that's going to really spell the end of this Reaper out on the map, because the Lings can really hunt it down then. There's the cancel. Ling speed finishes, and ooh, nice grenade. The third base gets down, but this Reaper is going to get up into the main, try and get a little bit more scouting. Nope, it's going to jump down. Somehow this Reaper escapes. Wow. That's honestly pretty impressive there. But anyway, you know, a bit of a delay, but Megabear still getting up to that 3 bases that he wanted. Taking a look back in the main base of EterNal, it looks like, okay, so he's building a Viking and getting Cloak. I'm guessing that this is in case there's an Overlord scout, he can kind of show Cloak and then cancel it, because I feel like if he was actually getting Cloak, he would want to be getting a Banshee. Or maybe he's just getting a Hellion or a Viking, and then he's going to get a Banshee. Both of those are possible. Anyway, this Viking, very useful, as it's going to mean immediately 2 dead Overlords, denies pretty much any vision that Zerg has on the other side of the map. And it's looking pretty economical here. Yep, the Banshee's following it up. So it's going to be Hellion Banshee, which is just a very solid early to mid-game map control build. Obviously, you know, it's going to be Queens and Lings out for the Zerg mainly in the early game, and Hellions off creep can kite away Lings. Banshees, if they have Cloak, can poke out at Queens, and it really lets you kind of get in the Zerg's face and maybe not get critical damage, but make your presence known on the map and kind of control that creep spread a little bit. Now, if you wander onto creep like this, you are a little bit susceptible to these speedlings, and actually, was that 2 Hellions and a Reaper going down, so a great pick off there for Megabear, and he might even be able to try and pounce. Oh, looks like EterNal is going to pull back a little bit, because he was a little bit in a tricky situation right at this spot, because maybe he could have gotten surrounded, but I think he identifies that, pulls back. And now we're going to see the next phase of this aggression with the Banshee. Does that have little stars on? Haha, it's got little stars on the rotors. That's pretty cool. It is going to be bio. Once again, we see stim and infantry upgrades coming up for EterNal, whereas the lair and that +1 melee is coming up for Megabear. Ooh, he's trying to get a Queen. He does get a Queen, but he loses all of those Hellions, and I think that's an excellent trade for Megabear. That means he can get across the map with these Lings if he wants, but behind this, again, this Banshee is very annoying. The Spore Crawler is not quite up, which means that this Banshee is going to get 3 drones for itself. Oh, and even more, 4, maybe 5. Nope, it looks like 4 if he IDs. Actually, there's a Spore right here. He needs to be careful dodging in and out of the Spore range, and I think this Banshee is going to go down as well. Yes, it will. So 5 drones for a Banshee. You know, if he had those Hellions alive, I would say that 5 drones for a Banshee is probably okay, but there's really no map control out now for EterNal, and Megabear, right as the CC lifts up, is going to run in and kill every single Marine. A tank is up, but it's going to kill these Slings very slowly, and this is an excellent play here from Megabear. He's going to pick off some SCVs, he's going to deny some mining, and in fact, more Lings are coming across the map. The wall is not going to get done, which means so many of these SCVs are going to go down. This Viking tries to land. It's not going to get much done. More Marines just kind of dying to Zerglings. So far, 7 SCVs have gone down. EterNal forced to use his SCVs to do battle, which is not something they want to do. Oh, he needs to get the repair on that tank. Really doesn't want to lose it. Good micro to keep it alive, but at the end of the day, 8 SCVs go down, and that is a nice pickoff for Megabear, kind of returning the favor in terms of damage, and he is not done. There are more Lings coming out, but now with sieged up tanks, I don't think he's going to be able to bust into the natural. However, this third base is not going to be able to be established, at least not for a little while. There are some Marines here. They are kiting. 6 more SCVs, in fact, going down. And Megabear getting himself a pretty decent supply lead. Behind this, he's gone up to 50 drones. He's getting +2 attack, +1 carapace, and bailing speed. 9 more drones. I think he set himself up pretty solidly here for the mid game. Faster combat shields this time. I think that's definitely what he wants. But so many Lings out on the map here, just making this super dangerous. And I think this comes down to what we saw earlier with Megabear being able to pick off the Banshee and the Hellions. Those are 2 almost necessary tools, like we saw, for holding off these packs of Lings. You can't get this done if there's 8 Hellions out, or 6 to 8 Hellions out on the map. But when there's not, these packs of Lings go much more uncontested, and Megabear identified what he took down and is taking full advantage of the pickoffs that he got, and I think that's just an incredibly smart play from our Zerg player. 2-2 even coming up. Now, it's important to note that he's gotten some great damage done, but I feel like there's going to be a short window here when EterNal's 2-2 is finished, and the +2 carapace for Megabear is not done yet. 30 Banelings. That's a lot of Banelings. Anyway, where the +2 carapace is not done yet, and these upgrades are so important in Zergling and Marine battles because obviously both Zerglings and Marines attack fairly often, which means any attack upgrade and armor upgrades have a much more pronounced effect than they would with, say, roaches. Oh, you're getting a bit of lag here. Oh, a little bit of stuttering. Here comes Megabear across the map, though. It seems to have cleared up. He's got a humongous army, and he's just not relenting on this third base of EterNal. This is a... I don't know if EterNal has what it takes to hold this off, especially if he loads up drops to go across the map. If he does this, there's absolutely no way that he holds on to his third. 2 bases come up behind this for Megabear, and he just seized his advantage and ran with it, and I'm really liking the play, teching up to Hydras behind this, and here he's going to pounce in on the third base, and there's just no chance that he can hold on to it. It has to get lifted. He might even be able to kill it with the Banelings right there. EterNal, you need to lift this. He's dropping across the map. He blows up the third CC. It is not lifted. It's destroyed along with 19 more SCVs. This drop across the map is nice, but Megabear's going to be able to pull back, and he's going to be able to hold it. And this is just not comparable levels of damage here from our Zerg and from our Terran. Our Zerg got a lot more done. 44 more Lings. So Megabear, he was just putting his foot on the gas in terms of this unit production, and I think that's the smart move. He's got his opponent pinned back. He's established his economy decently. I think he could stand to drone up one of these fourths maybe, but once he does that, he's just in an absolute dream position. More pressure coming up from EterNal here. I do like that. He needs to kind of give himself some breathing room from these massive balls of what's about to be 2-2 Ling Bane. Scan here, making sure that he's still on lair. That's an important thing to identify. Ooh, here he comes, getting some decent Baneling hits, and even coming in from the other side with the Lings trying to get a wraparound. He kind of gets it, but this might just be too many units. The supplies are kind of almost evening, but not for long, actually. 20, 30 SCVs go down. Oh, even more, 36. GG's called. And Megabear Cub evens up the series. That was it. That was a really, really cool game. And it's easy to watch a game like that and kind of miss some of the subtleties in the decisions that Megabear made, I think, right? He did very well to get his spores in the proper position, to get flanks around on those kind of winding paths of Automaton, which, like I said, let him pick off those Hellions, let him pick off that Banshee, and as soon as they were down, he knew he had a window where Ling Floods were going to be really, really difficult to contest, right? If you do that opening, the Hellion Banshee, it's very, very strong, but your main army is delayed to get the map control that Hellions and Banshees afford you. So if you lose that map control, and he just swells Lings like Megabear did, he's like, okay, I can bust into your natural. You have one tank. You don't have stim yet. You haven't really started, you know, exploding out that triple barracks, even 5 barracks production. And I don't know. I just really, really, really liked the decision making there from Megabear. It was decisive, and it got himself map number 2. Ties us up going into Cerulean Ball. And at the top right-hand corner, it is the yellow Terran player. It is EterNal. And his opponent down in the bottom left, the orange Zerg, it is Megabear. And I think that EterNal, obviously he's a player who's very confident in his macro play. So personally, I would like him to, I mean, not that he gives a shit what I would like him to do, but in terms of what I would like to see, I want to see him do that same build again. I know he's capable of executing it a little bit more cleanly, a little bit more carefully, keeping those important units alive. And if he does that, I mean, he really is a beast in the mid to late game with his control and with his borderline just unstoppable macro. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what he opts for in this game number 3. Looks like it's gonna be a same opening again from Megabear. That hatch into gas into pool, very standard stuff, and it's standard for a reason. And also, it kind of looks like it's going to be the same initial opener here from EterNal. Gets the SCV Scout. This SCV is going to finish the barracks, start a Reaper, and then he's going to take his Expo. So we have a little bit of downtime here before the game really ramps up. So if you are in the chat right now that we've seen these first 2 games and you have a score prediction, I would love for you to toss that out there for me. Let me know what you guys think. Clearly, we've got 2 very talented players here. Who do you think's gonna win, and what do you think the score is gonna be? Holla at you, boy. I think this is really cool too, especially in a long series. Just making sure you get that SCV Scout, even though you are also getting the Reaper Scout, because the Reaper can do harass. The SCV can't, but the SCV can identify if there's gonna be anything like uber cheeky a little bit quicker. Served Cold Dish says 4-1. I'm not sure who he thinks is going to win 4-1, but it's 1-1, so 4-1 is still very possible one way or another. 6 Lings and speed, 8 Lings. Okay, this smells a little bit aggressive to me. 8 Lings is a lot to get out in the early game. And more Lings are coming. Yeah, he's not stopped producing Lings. This has to be a 2-base all-in, and yeah, more Lings are coming. I'm interested. Maybe not. He's going to get the 3rd base. Now, you can still get aggressive with this, but still, this is not a regular time to be making this many Lings. And this hatch might just be there to kind of throw the Terran off, right? Be like, hey, look, I'm playing, I'm droning up. I'm, you know, getting my economy set up. When in reality, he's cut drones, and he's gotten out 20 Zerglings with 6 more on the way, and these Hellions are still decently far away, which means if he gets across the now, he does see it with this Reaper, but speed is about to be done, which means this Reaper's not going to be able to do much about it, and I think EterNal's going to have to evacuate the low ground. He's actually... Oh, I don't know if he's identified the level of threat this is quite yet, as I don't know that he wants to try and hold the low ground here. He might, though, and in doing so, he's going to let the Zerglings into the main, and this is disastrous. All the Marines get surrounded and picked off right away. The Lings in the main and the natural just destroying SCVs. So many going down. 20 SCVs go down. GG is called. A little bit indecisive there from EterNal. Looks like GT Kung says 4-3 Megabear. Cervical Dish has changed his score to 4-3. now. That's fair. That's fair. But Megabear for now going up 2-1. Some great play. We're gonna go into Port Alexander again. Another smart play there by Megabear. You know, you show the third. Oh, apparently we got a remake. You show the third base, right? So it looks, for all intents and purposes, like you're playing a macro style. But if that Reaper isn't poking back into the main, and if they're not ready to get up the ramp, he cuts drones, he floods lings, and I think EterNal might have maybe not seen all of the lings with the Reaper just because they were staggered a little bit, underestimated the threat level and really the magnitude of the lings that Megabear was producing. And in the end, what probably should have just been made him evacuate the low ground ended up giving him the game. And that one has to feel a little bit, sting a little bit, because it's tough to lose like that. It's very easy to. I'm not trying to downplay anybody's skill. It's very easy to lose to something small like that where you don't really get the magnitude of what's coming at you, and then it's a brutal and quick way to lose the game. But still, smart decision making from Megabear to show that third and capitalize on throwing his opponent off with what he's doing. But we're going to go into game number 4. Megabear's up 2-1. Game number 4 is going to be on Port Alexander, a very large map, and I'm hoping we get to see our first kind of real late macro game, as both these guys have the skills to pay the bills. And I don't know about you, but I want to see them showcase that. In the top left-hand corner, it is the yellow Terran EterNal, and his opponent currently leading 2-1 in the series. It is the orange Zerg Megabear Cub. So yeah, it looks like like I said, GT Kong has 4-3 Megabear, Served Cold Dish has 4-3 EterNal. So it looks like predictions so far, expecting it to be close. I can't say that I disagree with you, especially having seen the games that we've seen already. Oh, I think you want to move that Overlord. There he goes. Moves the Overlord. It looks like it is going to be a 17 hatch once again from Megabear, and yep, things all looking standard on EterNal's half of the map as well. Let's see. I can always check his rally and see if he's gonna take that Expo off 1-Rax. And yep, a creature of habit sets it to mine, gets free minerals in the downtime, and sets it on patrol. We can correctly identify that it should be a 1-Rax Reaper Expand from EterNal, and it is the same hatch into gas into pool from Megabear. Droning on up. And again, like clockwork, EterNal sending out that SCV scout. This is something I've seen him do, not necessarily specifically an SCV scout, but in multiple matchups. He had 2 TVTs in the round of 8 and the round of 4, and I casted both of them. And in almost every game, he does this thing where he gets a fast Reaper, but instead of sending it across the map to maybe hit an opponent Reaper, he always scouted around for the proxy. And not only is that a smart play from a scouting perspective, it's also kind of, in my mind, indicative of someone who's confident in their play, right? He doesn't want to lose to a proxy, right? That's why he sends this SCV scout to make sure he's not getting quick pooled or super quick baneling busted. Ooh, more lings on the way. It looks like Megabear might be doing a ling flood anyway. But same thing in TVT. He uses that Reaper. He scouts around. He sends the SCV and TVZ, and it's cool to see a player high on confidence playing his game and just making sure that, or trying to mitigate the likelihood that something a little bit unorthodox can catch him off guard. Factory is coming up here, and I think that, yeah, 1 drone, 6 more lings coming out here for Megabear, and this is a pretty big sign of someone who's going to get aggressive, is when they're hiding lings. It's a smart play. And again, Megabear tipping like he's going to go for the third. Shows a few lings at the front, shows the drone poking out, and that really screams of a Zerg that wants to get a third base, right? But looking at what he's got, he doesn't want a third base. He's getting lings, he's getting banelings, and he's going to get extremely aggressive extremely quickly. Now this is going to hit a little bit later, it looks like. Or actually, it might be about the same time. I really think that, I don't know if I want these two Marines. I mean, he doesn't know everything that I know, obviously. But he needs Hellions, and he needs them soon. This Reaper might be able to get a great scout here. Let's see. Oh, it misses the Lings coming across the map. It misses the Lings coming across the map. It does get in, and he sees that there's no third base, so the alarm bells might be ringing in his head here a little bit as this Ling flood just swarms across the map. He has evacuated the low ground, which is the correct call, but that low ground doesn't really matter. There's 9 Banelings, which means he's just going to be able to bust down this wall. And there's so many Lings coming out. He's, I think, trying to get up to maybe a Banshee, getting more Lings out, starting a bunker now, but I think it might be too late. This is going to be a tough hold for EterNal if he can pull it off, as these Banelings are getting actually trapped behind the Lings a little bit, using that CC actually really smartly to try and mitigate, but even still the Lings wrap around. Every single Marine is going to die, and there's more Lings and Banelings in the main, and just nothing but Lings following this up. 13, 14, 15, 17 SCVs. Very, very smart. EterNal closes the door and prevents himself from just getting completely overrun by the rallying Lings, but to some extent, I think the damage has been done. That's 17 Lings. There's still 4 more in the main that are going to try and pick off SCVs, and already Megabear, seeing that he's got the damage done but might not be able to end the game, has returned to droning. And I think that's really smart, as one of the ways you can lose a game where you get a lot of damage done is if you overcommit, right? And you just like end up continuing to rally Lings, and eventually they start losing value. You stop getting damage done. Oh, accidentally looked at my HDMI for a second. Sorry about that. You start to lose value, and then eventually you're not doing any damage at all. Actually, he's still doing a big attack. This is a lot more Banelings. He's still droning up, but he still might be able to kill him as well. Busts on through, and he's just going to beeline for the SCVs. This bunker holds, but this bunker holds in a position that isn't defensible anymore, as the Lings are already through. More SCVs going down. He's down to 4 SCVs to 37 drones. He's prevented 100% from mining, and I think at this point this is Megabear's game to lose, and I don't think that he is going to lose it. The Lings are there. GG's called. And Megabear takes him a 3-1 lead. 1 game away from taking himself home the championship. With some smart plays, some smart builds. I'm super with it. That 4D chess. Alright, it looks like we're going to have about 2 minutes of a break here while our players get themselves some water, maybe use the bathroom. If you're watching, it might be time for you to do the same. I'm going to throw up my overlay, and I will be back when we get into game number 5. See you guys soon. everybody, we are back. Sorry about that. Both players needed a few minutes. They had some stuff to sort out, and then somebody was like at the door or something. But irregardless, nobody cares about that. What they care about is that we're going into game number 5 here on Kairos Junction in the top left-hand corner. Seeing if he can come back. It's the yellow D1-M2 EterNal. And his opponent now here at match point only needs one more map from the following 3 to get himself that first place trophy. It is the Orange Megabear Cub. And one thing to note about Kairos Junction is that the rush distance is pretty short. Shorter than it is on Port Alexander. So if Megabear wanted to opt for that aggressive Lingbane style, like he has in the previous 2 matches, this is a pretty good map for it. We're going to have to see if either of these players kind of make any adjustments to their play. Again, I mean, Megabear has played it out pretty smart in these past 2 games and how he's opted to go for that aggression, faking the third base, throwing EterNal off for as long as he can, playing the misinformation game, and then hitting with that uppercut. But even still, last game EterNal got a little bit unfortunate as his Reaper just missed the Zerglings coming across the map. But you know, StarCraft is a game of inches, not a game of miles, and sometimes that's the way it goes. It is going to be pretty much the same openings again. Hatch, gas, pool for Megabear. And then Rax, gas, Reaper, CC. And an orbital. Forgot about the orbital. But that's not important. The point is that both these guys are opting for, once again, very standard openers. Now, obviously, we've seen that Megabear has different follow-ups to that same opener, but you have to think that EterNal is going to be watching the outside of the space like an absolute hawk after those last 2 games. And it looks like he's opting for Reaper, Marine behind it, and I'm guessing he's going to start a reactor ASAP here as soon as he's got the 50-50, and he is. So I think slightly faster Hellions this time. This Reaper is getting in, and we're going to have to see if he can get much damage done. There are 4 Lings out. Generally, their job is to delay until the Queen's out, because the Queen can really push it away. Picks off a drone. That's a very nice pick off there. Needs to be careful. Does not want to get surrounded by the Lings, but excellent control on the Reaper. Maneuvers around the minerals, gets a drone and backs up. Because any real kill damage, at least on the drones that you can get with the Reaper, is pretty much down to if you have the APM and the micro to do it. Which EterNal has showed us that clearly he does. It is going to be faster Hellions this time, which I think is clearly an adjustment to these last 2 games being made. Even poking up into the main, sees there's only 1 drone on gas, and the Reaper gets out. So excellent scouting information. Knows that it's probably not going to be Banelings, right, unless he goes back into gas, but that would be a little bit strange of a decision. But Megabear just going to take his third base. Bunker coming up down here too, and these faster Hellions. So EterNal not messing around this time. And okay, this is not the same play, right? He is kind of getting more Lings, but we see he's got these 2 macro queens or these 2 creep queens in addition to his injecting queens, and he's droned up pretty heavily. He's getting some Lings, maybe to just poke at the front, but this is not a very big commitment here from Megabear. And right, that's probably a good thing for him, because these Hellions should not allow these Lings to get anything done aggressively. Especially if there's a bunker up as well. Same opener here, he's going to get the Viking, and then Cloaked Banshees behind this. I think it's going to be important, obviously, this time for him to try and keep these units alive, and thus kind of preventing Megabear from getting across the map in the same way. Ooh, these 2 tumors coming up right as the Hellions get there. Cancels 2 tumors. That's just awesome. That's awesome. Because it wastes energy on these queens. Yeah, you know, you could say, oh, they just dropped 2 more tumors down. That's 2 more tumors that aren't going down to supplement the spread. Anything you can do to slow it down is, of course, very, very good. As stalling the creep is the name of the game for most of the mid-game. Ooh, we could see a little bit of a surround here coming out for Megabear. He's going to go behind. No, he's going to go across the map. maybe? Nope, he's going behind. He is going to try and wrap around, although EterNal pulls back and will not get caught. In fact, actually, these Lings kind of getting tangled up, not getting too much damage done. Pulls back the injured Hellion. Great micro there from EterNal, and he definitely gets the best of that trade. Behind this Viking is going to clear out his second Overlord. Even scouting across and seeing these two Overlords means that this Viking might even be able to get two more. The Banshee's starting to come out, and the creep spread is slowed down. Whenever you force the Zerg to have to... it takes a lot of APM. It takes a lot of APM to defend against these Hellions, and he's actually poking in. Looks like he might... He thought about going into the natural, thinks better of it. Maybe a wise decision, as these Banelings on creep can still be dangerous. Might even pick off one of these creep queens too. Behind this, the Banshee actually getting 3 SCVs, and EterNal is just everywhere in this game so far. He's picking off tumors, he's picking off Lings, he's picking off queens, and... Oh, this Banshee! There is no lair, there is no spore up yet, so it is just going to go to town on these drones. 7 go down already, and... Jeez, I think Megabear might have made EterNal angry, taking those wins off of him, because he is coming back very hard here in this next game. This Banshee runs out of energy, is going to be forced to run away, but gets away, and guess what? There is no queen here. There is no spore here. That means 2 more dead drones. 12 go down in total, and I think he might be able to keep this Banshee alive. The Banshee does go down, but keeps the Hellions alive. That's very important. And 12 drones is a tremendous amount of damage for him to get done. If we add on top of that the number of queens he sniped out, I think he got both of the queens that were designated to spread creep. That was exactly what EterNal wanted to get done with those initial units. And he kept these Hellions alive, which means he's going to be a lot safer against any potential Ling floods that come across the map. Behind this, he is powering up that macro. We see Barracks' number 5, 4 and 5 coming up, double upgrades, stim, just all the works. You know, if Terran were a sandwich, EterNal's getting like everything on it. He's just piling his toppings on to his macro Terran sandwich. And I think that's going to manifest itself in a very, very powerful mid-game push. We see behind this, more drones and some Lings coming out here for Megabear. He's getting droned himself back up to a comfortable. He's going to hit that nice around 60 to 65 drone mark that you really want on 3 bases, but EterNal's still poking around with these Hellions, still trying to pick off some creep tumors here maybe. And he can do this now because these Hellions are far more expendable now that more and more Terran units have come up. A lot of Ling Bane out, and he might actually, yep, he will get this round. He will clear out these Hellions, and we'll have to see if Megabear tries to get aggressive. I think he just might, but again, now there's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks, medevacs, and stim done. This is a very different type of aggression than the type we saw on Automaton. And I think he's going to have a lot harder of a time getting damage done in the same way that he did on that map. Scan comes up, sees at the very corner of the scan that Ling Bane, and he knows that Megabear's got his eyes on this 3rd base, and he is preparing accordingly. Tanks sieged up, depots going down to kind of aid with the SimCity, and here comes Megabear, but thinks better of it. Rightly so. That tank line is too deep, there's too many Marines, and just wasn't a fight that Megabear wanted to take, and he correctly identifies that, pulls back, and gets ready to get this 4th base up and running. So smart plays coming out from both of our players. 2-2 actually almost mirrored at the exact same time, and it looks like we are going to see a Hydra transition here from Megabear. But here we see just the raw power of EterNal's macro play. I mean, he got some good damage done. I'm not gonna say that he didn't. He got very good damage done to put Megabear behind, but even so, he's just rocketed up in supply. Pretty much going into the mid game here, up at 160 to the 124 of Megabear, which means that this army is massive. He's got 71 workers, 89 army supply, and he's just got such a big army that he feels comfortable venturing onto creep. Megabear is setting himself up for a huge dual-pronged attack here. We're going to make use of this zoom out feature, and actually really wishing that these rocks were down now, but EterNal actually forced him off that earlier. And I like how he pushes in here, gets a good tank line, sections off the 4th base, and kills it. Looks like Megabear's going to opt for a counterattack, which is a smart call, I think. He's going to get some decent damage done on the SCVs of this fourth, even gets a good amount of Marines there and a tank, and it's going to pull EterNal back. But again, EterNal has had a massive SCV count, so does he want to lose 22 SCVs? No, he doesn't. But does that, you know, really dagger his economy? Not super, not very much. He's going to be able to, with mules, with constant SCV production, get back to where he wants to be. And this is a great spot. He's getting a planetary up at the fourth, whereas Megabear's fourth is just now being restarted along with a fifth. Double expanding, I think that's the correct call. But EterNal's not going to rest on his laurels. He's going to get at him once again and try and make something happen. The creep already cleared away here. Oh, he's not sieged up with the tanks. That could be problematic. Here comes the big siege in, and here potentially comes the fight. Megabear needs to wrap around, and he is doing so. He knows he can't take this fight from just one angle. Great splits coming in from EterNal once again, and he is just taking a massive supply lead. It's going to take a great engagement from Megabear to hold this off, but a great engagement is what it looks like it's going to be. Ling Bane crashing in from every side. The tank's a little bit clumped, and they all get cleaned up, and there's a lot of Ling Bane left behind. Lance, the Viking, had a death wish there for a minute, and he's going to beeline for this fourth base. There is a planetary there, so if he wants to take this, it's going to cost him a little bit dearly. Oh, the Banelings go in and blow up, but do not fully kill it, which means it's only Lings fighting from here on out and through the repair. I'm not sure they can DPS it down, and he lost that. He killed that planetary, but for what? That would cost him so much army, and that's reflected in the supply. EterNal's macro chugging non-stop. He's mining back at this third base, and he's just rocketed up to almost 100 supply advantage. Thor's coming out now, and Megabear only just starting to get mining on this fourth base. A Ghost Academy and 3-3 coming up. Hive is nowhere in sight, and I think that this might just be too much just raw supply that EterNal is going to be able to throw at him for Megabear to be able to stop. The army is not very large compared to the just huge Marine count of EterNal, and we've seen him showcase his splits, and it was disgustingly good. There's just not enough Banelings to handle this gigantic army, and I think once he kills off this fourth base, we're going to see Megabear probably tap out to just a very well-played macro game here by EterNal. Banes come in, they get some decent connections, but just not enough. GG is called. And EterNal, showing that he got knocked down, but he was not out, takes us to 3-2. Keeping it interesting. That takes a lot of fortitude. It's always tough if you, if you're in a best 7 and you lose 3 consecutive matches. That's tough. That's tough, but great play from EterNal there on that map to come back and get us, or almost tie it up. We're still at 3-2, but we're gonna have to see. Are we gonna go to a match point game 7? That's kind of what I want, because that's pretty cool. Or we almost started the match there with me in there, which was, I don't think that Megabear wants me to tag in for him at this point in the series. I'm pretty sure he wants to play it himself. But here we go. We got everybody where they need to be now, and we're going to go into game number 6 here on Parasite. In the chat, Surfcrash says, does EterNal have his glasses? A few days ago, they were broken. Frankly, I do not know. Your guess is as good as mine, served cold. But that point withstanding, in the bottom right-hand corner, winning the last map to get himself back into this series and try and claw his way back to 3-3. It is Ris3n's EterNal. And in the top left-hand corner, needs to win one of the next 2 matches to take home first place. It is Megabear Cub. I really want to see another macro game. I really want to see. I think that the last game, I guess you could call Automaton a macro game, kind of, but it didn't really get past like the early mid game. That was the first time we saw them really go into the late game with each other, and I think that was the most entertaining game, at least from my perspective, because we really got to see some great engagements by Megabear, some nice splits by EterNal, and honestly, his macro is scary to watch, because you'll watch he wiped his army killing that fourth, and then you're like, oh, he lost his whole army, and then you're like, but he still has like 160 supply, because macro is powerful. Loses 20 SCVs, and he's like, oh, now I only have 50, and I gotta like still have enough for 4 bases. It's scary. Like that's the only word for it, to play against somebody like that, where it just seems like you're punching a brick wall sometimes, because it's like, haha, I killed an army, oh crap, they've got another one. Haha, I killed an army, oh crap, they've got another one. Haha, I killed a base, oh, they've got 2 more. Like, it's the power of macro, boys. It's the power of macro. It's pretty much the exact same openings coming up once again. These guys clearly, barring that game 1, have an opening that they like and they're going to stick to and that they're confident in. And I like to see that. You do like to see that. A lot of players will feel the need to, mix it up here and there, every game. And you can mix it up with your build, but if you're going to play a macro game, I think you're probably best off doing the opener that you're most comfortable with. And I think we can clearly say that this is the 2 openers that these 2 players are most comfortable with, as we've seen it in almost every game. It's going to be the reactor, the factory coming up for EterNal. Ooh, spots this drone going towards the 3rd base. The extractor will be made, so he will delay that once again. 4 more lings, and the Baneling nest. Okay, so once again, Megabear Cub getting cheeky with it. And the question is will EterNal be able to identify it in time? Oh, we'll pick off this drone, but this drone doesn't care. He does not care if he gets this 3rd base up. This is a deceptive 3rd base. He can take it, but he doesn't need to. Faster Hellions this time is going to be essential to holding this off. And I like this. He keeps 4 lings at home. That looks normal, but he sends the rest across the map already. Those he can make into Banelings right away. This Reaper is just hunting, looking for something that looks a little bit off, and he's going to go into the main. I would be shocked if he did not find a way to see the Baneling nest. See, does he? He does not. He does not see the Baneling nest. Okay, but he gets down here. He sees there's 1 drone at the natural, and I think he definitely knows that something is afoot, especially after seeing what we've seen before. 4 Hellions are going to be out here shortly that will be very, very useful this time. He will have that micro potential, and he knows he's going to need to evacuate the natural, and there's going to be a time where Banshees are going to be out pretty soon, and if he can get Banshees out, this really is that much easier to hold. These Hellions getting some money shots before the wall even goes down, and now that the wall is down, they can even kite some more, and this is being much, much more efficiently held this time from EterNal. Such impressive micro on those Hellions that, like, if you're not watching carefully, you don't even see the micro. He pulls back the injured ones easily. That's 2 or 3 dead Hellions. Instead, we have 3 very injured ones, and that's way, way, way better. Way, way better. Absolutely fantastic hold there by EterNal. And he's in a pretty nice spot now. I think he wants to get this Banshee started up, but even if he doesn't, he can force these lings back. These Hellions just roast Zerglings. That's what they were made to do, and they do it well. Lings out on the map, but honestly, the Predators have become the prey now. And he, I think, is going to stay back, defend this natural while he gets this Banshee up, and this is just a great spot. It's a great spot. Ooh, almost gets us around there. Does Megabear. A nice Reaper Grenade to kind of disrupt that, and still keeping these Hellions alive. That's so useful, so important there, to not let that Hellion count get whittled down, because with 8 Hellions out, Megabear just frankly cannot get aggressive with just lings at this stage in the game. He can't do it. He can't do it. He'll never trade efficiently against that many Hellions. That's a fact of StarCraft, is that if these Hellions are microed, especially by someone with the skill of EterNal, you're never, ever, ever going to trade efficiently. And I think Megabear has realized this, and he might be starting to transition. He's still actually building Lings and Banes, so maybe I'm not even telling the truth. There's still no 3rd base. but I'm not sure that this is the correct decision. A Banshee is now out, Cloak is on the way, which means sure he can get Spores for counter pressure, but how is he going to ever establish a third base? And even more so, if he wants to get damage done across the map, anything that comes across is going to have a timer put on it by the Banshee. Creep spread starting to come out, and he is going to try and establish this third base now, so maybe he wanted Lings just to make sure he doesn't die to a counterattack, but third base comes up, immediately scouted by the Banshee, and it's going to poke into the natural, probably see the Spore, and start working on the third base. Sees these units, is going to have to be a little bit careful with these Hellions. Did the Banshee go down? Oh, the Banshee goes down. That's actually a decently big deal. You want to be keeping that alive, and Megabear is going to try and get kills on these Hellions, but great control there by EterNal. Kiting, getting the shots in, and just look at these Hellions. All of them have like a bunch of kills. That one has 13. Take a look at the units lost, 61 to 13, which just goes to show you the efficiency of well-microed Hellions against Zerglings. Gonna poke back in again, pick off. Oh, might be able to get 2 tumors. Yep, is gonna get 2 tumors, which kills those 2 tumor too. So it's actually 4 tumors. But Megabear coming in from behind with these Lings is gonna try and surround him. Ooh, he's so close to getting the full wraparound. He does, and every single Hellion will die. Great control so far, or for most of the game there, by EterNal. But a great wraparound to help him hold on. But now the wall is up, a tank is up, and you know, you don't want to lose those Hellions, but I think he might have bought himself enough time on the other side of the map that Megabear, I'm not sure, can just bust into him. Now, the question is will he try? A scan comes down. He wants to see what he's up against, and we're seeing Banelings. We're seeing very much so an aggressive play here. Now, keep in mind, Stim is going to be done, and EterNal has recognized his bunkers are on the way. I don't know if they're going to be up in time, though, as Dieseling Bane is here now. Medivacs are coming out. Another tank is on the way. Some great SimCity. Oh, he's targeted on the destructible. Okay. If he was targeting the destructible debris when the attack came in, that could have been absolutely disastrous. More scans coming down. He sees these are not upgrading Evo chambers. Needs to be careful getting out on the map like this. Does not want to let him in. Oh, but the depot is down. The depot is down, and here comes the Ling and Banelings. Ooh, this tank is still alive. Might be able to get some money shots on the SCVs, but actually, I thought that would be a bigger deal than it was. In the end, it's a pretty comfortable hold there by EterNal. Tank stays alive, gets himself 19 kills, and that is absolutely crucial. You know, it looks like, oh, you know, he got some decent damage done. He's got a third base down. It's not a big deal. It absolutely is a big deal. The amount of drones that could have been made, had he not gone for that follow-up aggression, it's pretty crazy. He delayed his upgrades, and again, that's not to say that, like, it was a stupid play. It absolutely wasn't. But I think it was the response from EterNal that was most impressive there. He got the bunkers up, he made sure his SimCity was done well, his tank was in a great position. That allowed him to leverage that into a relatively comfortable hold, and now he's putting on pressure of his own. Will be able to retreat with the Medivacs, and even still, this doesn't get a ton of damage, but what it does do is force units, and units are not what Megabear wants to be making right now. He wants to be getting these geysers up, he wants to be powering up to Hydralisks, and he's got a little bit of money to work with right now, but when a Terran's in your face like this, it's tough to justify going hard on the tech, or going hard on, you know, changing your composition. And in the meantime, EterNal, with that just beastly macro, establishes his third. He's got 2-2 on the way, and I think he's just put himself in a commanding position here in game number 6. Looks like he will be able to clear out this first force, but again, there's a follow-up. There's 3 tanks and more Marines. He should get sieged up here pretty soon here, at least he needs to. Clears out some creep, but Megabear going for that surround. It's going to be a long way around, though, if he wants to get there. Actually only coming in from this angle, so kind of 2 half angles, but even still, I think it should be enough. Zerg here for Megabear to hold, but actually maybe not. These tanks actually doing a great job at The tank's doing a good job at tanking is almost what I said, but that sounds silly. And now EterNal's getting into the drone line, and these are drones that Megabear cannot afford to lose. He's on 50 drones. It's not like we're dealing with an 80 drone Zerg player here because he invested in those earlier aggressions. His drone count's limited, and EterNal is able to close it out, and we go to game number 7, boys. Game number 7. Well, it all comes down to this, boys. It all comes down to this. We've seen a very even series. Oop. I think we made the wrong one. We've seen a very even series. We've seen some very smart decision making from both of our players. We've seen some cute micro tricks. We've seen, and cute isn't even the right word. We've seen some damn impressive micro tricks from both players. We've seen Megabear showcasing that he's got a penchant for taking good engagements even when he's behind in some of these games. We've seen EterNal's just machine-like macro powering him through to some of these games. We've seen Megabear's decision-making able to snag him victories at kind of not super intuitive times, but times where if you're a smart player, you know you can pick up a dub and you go for it. And, I mean, the only sad thing here is that one of these players is going to take second place. Because in my mind, they're both champions. Corniness aside, I'm excited to see who is going to be the champion as we go into game number 7 here on Stasis. Everybody's favorite map of all time, Stasis. I cannot say that without laughing. But memes aside, in the top right-hand corner of Stasis, it is the yellow Terran player. It is EterNal. And his opponent is the orange Zerg. In the top left-hand corner, it is Megabear Cub. And let's see. I mean, this is the ultimate question mark, right? Everything's on the line. Win or lose, this is game 7, so we have to see what build these guys go for, because you bet your ass they're going to do something that they're comfortable and that they're confident in, because you just don't do something that you're not familiar with and that you're not strong with in game number 7 of a finals. And so far, it looks like we're seeing the same opener that they've done 6 times each now, because game 1 was different. But this is the 6th time. Yeah, I can do math. They say never do math while you're streaming, but I just did some successful addition and subtraction. I'm a little bit proud of myself. Interestingly enough, we are going to see a variation here from Megabear. He is going 3 hatch before pool. It's ballsy. It's punishable, but if it pays off, it's very lucrative. We're going to have to see how quickly EterNal can identify this, because again, what you do, obviously, it's just how it sounds. You double expand before taking your spawning pool and before taking your gas. Now, you might be saying, oh, doesn't that delay, those initial Zerglings? Absolutely it does. But if you micro correctly, if you can do things like make a spore crawler to prevent the Reaper from getting too much damage, and if you can deny how long the Terran knows, or how long it takes before the Terran knows that you did that, it can really pay off. It can really pay off, because your larva count just rockets up. It just absolutely rockets up with those very, very fast 3 hatches. And we'll have to see if EterNal can make this read. If he senses that, like, this spawning pool seems late to me. And it seems late because it is late. And I think he's going to... Nope, he does not check the 3rd base. He is going to try and kill this drone. But he's not. Excellent spore cancel there. And wow, gonna have to see when EterNal... Wait, did he see the creep yet? No, okay, so he hasn't seen it. 10 more lings coming out here. And again, this doesn't even have to be a macro play long term. You can do this build and say, hey, I'm gonna get fast 3 hatch, and then I'm gonna do an aggressive play off of just a massive, massive amount of larva. And now he knows. He sees the completed third base and he goes, oh, okay, you greedy, greedy boy. But he's pretty much gotten away with it. He's lost 3 Zerglings to this Reaper, which I think is worth the cost of how quickly you get that hatchery. Zergling speed coming out. He has pulled out of gas, which leads me to believe that it's not going to be too fast of a Ling Bane play, as we have seen him do in some of these other matches. But here we go. The Hellions are coming out. It looks like he's going to go Hellion Banshee once again. Whereas Megabear is droning himself up. Droning himself up real nice. Jelly Nick says, I'm just here for the final match. Yeah, enjoy the final match, bro. It's been a great series. If anyone wants to go back and watch, the VOD will be up on my channel as soon as I stop streaming. In fact, you might even be able to watch it now, but don't watch it now. Watch this now, because this is really exciting. But we've had a really good series here. 2 absolutely phenomenal players duking it out here. And, ooh, might be able to pick off some drones, and he will. This is great damage, and more importantly, it's pretty much free damage. The Lings are distracted taking out those rocks, which means 4 drones go down pretty much for free, and that's just a great way to start off a TVZ. Is to get yourself a few drone kills, slow down that economy. He's going to be able to drive this away now that he's got those 2 queens out, but more and more drones on that production tab, and we are seeing the Banshee and Cloak come up for EterNal. So he has stopped Hellion production. What is that? 8? 6. So he's going with 6 Hellions. I think that's okay. Ooh, looking at diving into the third base. I think that's a very dangerous play, as these Lings are lurking back there, looking to get another surround, and he is not at the point in the game where he wants to lose these Hellions just yet. Creep Tumorous coming on up. And, oh, almost picks off a queen, but does not, and loses a Hellion and a Reaper. Trying to get it. Gets it down to 16 HP. That's what, like 3 or 4 Hellion hits? Something like that. Fast third CC once again here from EterNal. It looks like these Lings are going to poke across the map. I don't think they're going to get anything done, but they are going to check on the third base and then maybe test the front a little bit. A Marine comes out. SCVs are going to be pulled. They're going to repair, and then I think these Lings should just die. Yeah. Hellions, oh, actually coming in from both sides with the Lings. That is such a cool play. Pulls the Hellions back, hits from this side, and hits from the other side in this narrow corridor with rallying Lings, and he gets, what, 3 more Hellions? So excellent kind of strategic decision making there from Megabear to whittle down the Hellion count. And a lot of Lings coming out. A lot of Lings coming out. And actually, Megabear's drone count is looking very healthy. Up at 55. 1-1 and Baneling speed coming up. So he's getting all of this nice Zerg upgrades that he wants for the mid game. And I think he was really smart to work on those rocks earlier, because I feel like the worry there is that tanks get sieged up behind there. You drop Marines there, and you end up just like ramming your head against literal destructible rocks trying to kill tanks, and that's no fun, man. That is no fun. But with that cleared out, that will not be an issue. And now I think the next move is probably going to be EterNal's. He's starting to power up his macro. He's getting 1-1, these 2 additional racks, and in the other games this has been about the point where he's expanded and taken that third base. He's getting vision in the center of the map because he wants to see if there's any giant floods of Lings coming at him. Megabear, it looks like he's going to try and clear out the watchtower. Only sending some of his Lings, does not want to tip his hand as to the full count of Lings that he has on the map, which is 47. 16 more are on the way. Banelings too. That's a decently sized army. Decently sized army. A Ling here. Oh, he's going for a gold base. EterNal is going for a gold base. This will get spotted here by this Overlord, and I think this might prompt Megabear to take some action to try and deny that, as he does not, obviously, want to allow the Terran to secure this. I think it would have been nice if maybe he could have cleared this Overlord out first, because now Megabear knows. The question is what, if anything, can and will he do about it? It looks like initially we're going to see a pack of Zerglings actually immediately force mining away as the Marines are slightly to the other side of this command center, but forces them back, and here come the, well, some of the boys. Just a huge Ling Bane army, more Banelings coming in, and behind this he's getting more drones. I think he's going to start droning up this 4th base while he tries to deny the 3rd of the Terran. He's got a small supply advantage here. Where did 4 SCVs go down? And there are no tanks, I don't think, in position at this base just yet. Here they come now, but they're not sieged. They're not sieged, they're getting sieged up now. Runs the Banelings in, the Banelings clear out all of the SCVs at that base. Ooh, mines in there, that's actually really smart. Oh, and drops down there. Whoa, that was a really crazy engagement. So 15 SCVs do go down for EterNal, but Megabear used a lot of army to get that damage done, and now SCVs are going to be continued to be made at a base that gets up and going pretty quickly, because gold bases do that. And for the first time, we're seeing Widow Mines, which is not a style we've seen from EterNal yet this series. And the question is Megabear ready to adapt to that? Because you have to engage differently against Widow Mines than you do against siege tanks. There are tanks, but there are 4 mines also getting sieged up in a just great spot, really preventing this wraparound, as the tanks can long-range shell, but it looks like Megabear is going to opt for a counter-attack, and this natural is wide open. Actually, he's going to dive on in while EterNal tries to get some damage done, but a full surround there from the Ling Bane. Needs to retreat back to these tanks and Widow Mines, but back at home, things are looking a little dicey. A lot of Banelings in here, a lot of Lings clearing out some decent amount of the SCVs. It looks like these Widow Mines will get cleared up as well, and during all this, Megabear is going to make a beeline for this 3rd base as well. A huge amount of army still here. Again, no combat shields just yet. That could prove disastrous in the long run. Still a lot of army. He does. Oh, he doesn't. 30 SCVs have gone down. Great target firing all on the Banelings up until the last one. He gets the kill. These Banelings are about to finish. They're going to go in all directions. Marines splitting everywhere. But there's so many Banelings. The Lings coming in from behind managed to force these Marines to run away. And even still, there's still Lings working in the natural. Megabear pulling EterNal every which way, but EterNal showing that he is not going to break easy. And the supplies are so close. They're so close. This 3rd base getting reestablished once again. Taking a look at the worker count, it's 32 to 66, heavily in the Zerg's favor. It looks like we could see a huge drop coming in here. If he can get into the main, he could do some terrible, terrible damage. Actually, he's going to send 2 around to the side, and it looks like 2 more in different places. I'm not exactly sure where these drops are exactly headed, but Megabear is going to punish him a little bit for going for the drops, as he's going to pounce on this 3rd base once again. Here comes a good bit of army, but I don't know if it's quite enough. But Megabear doesn't know what's behind it and chooses to back up and at least go for a flank here. I don't think that EterNal has what it takes to hold off against this army. There is going to be a wraparound coming in here. A huge mine hit, but still, there's just not enough here. Drops coming down everywhere as we say it, and it looks like this game could come to a thrilling conclusion as drops are everywhere. Megabear is pouring into the main base, but not trading the most efficiently until those Banelings get huge hits, and he might be able to camp the production. But at the same time, there's drops and Marines everywhere, hamstringing the economy of the Zerg, but that doesn't matter if he can camp the full production of his opponent, and it looks like that might be what he's able to do. 18 drones have gone down, 25 SCVs, hatcheries are going down, there's medevacs everywhere, Zerglings in the main, and I'm not sure if EterNal is able to get out enough units to force this out. More drones going down, but 3 bases, actually 4, able to be held on to by our Zerg player. Baneling getting another hit, and more Marines going down. This Widowmine needs to burrow. EterNal's down to 24 supply to the 95 of Megabear. GG is called as the drops are cleaned up, and Megabear takes game number 7. I'm like actually a little bit physically shaken after that game 7. That was a thrilling conclusion to a frankly incredible series. Megabear was the underdog going in, but he didn't play like one. He played strong, he played with confidence, and at the end of the day, he is able to take the 7th game of the grand finals and win the tournament. Hats off to you, brother. Hats off. Here, I'll actually physically... You didn't see it, but I physically took my hat off to you, brother. Congratulations, of course, to Megabear. He played a great tournament. He actually eliminated me 3-2 in the semifinals. Who did he play in the round of 8? He played Sun Tzu in the round of 8. I think he topped his group too. He showed just fantastic play throughout the entire tournament, and deservedly is going to walk away a champion. However, you also have to, of course, give props to our runner-up, EterNal. Showed some great play here in this best of 7. Showcased why he's at the level that he's at, and why he's such a good player, and just ran a train on pretty much everyone in the tournament up to Megabear, who finally was able to halt that train. But still, EterNal's run is extremely impressive. So in the chat, I would like everybody to give a slow clap to both of our fantastic players. Our first place player, Megabear Cub, and our runner-up, EterNal. I hope that in future tournaments we get to see this matchup again, because it was super exciting for me. And it was truly a joy to cast. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you, chat, for giving these people the standing ovation that they deserve. Regardless, that was an hour-and-a-half best of 7. I'm so glad I got to be able to do it, but that is going to bring this cast to a close. Had a good time. Drop a follow. I might even be casting more tonight. I think there might be an RDIL match going on. There's one thing I love more than playing StarCraft. It's talking about StarCraft. So thank you for joining me here and listening to me talk about StarCraft and enjoying these wonderful games. And have a great evening, everyone.